Hi, EarlyON families. Welcome to today's Rainbow Circle Time. Today, I would like to share with you infant activity ideas that are going to hopefully fill your child's day with some adventures and different activity. Let's begin without further ado. I'd like to just take this as a reminder to remind all of you that on our 519 YouTube channel, we've got a lot of great music circles and story time, and we've got a lot of great songs and song ideas that you can sing. And we're coming out with content Tuesday through Saturday every week. One song or rhyme that you can definitely do with your infant, non-gendered, and also introduces movements and different actions to your young infant, is the open them and shut them song. In case you don't know that or haven't heard that, open and shut them. Open and shut them. Give a little clap, 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 clap. Open and shut them. Open and shut them. Put them on your lap, lap, lap. Creep them, slowly creep them right up to your chin, 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 chin. Open up your little mouth. Do not let them in. So, very fun song you can sing with your young infant. And you can also use this time to, if you mention any body parts in the song or nursery rhyme that you're singing, that you can point to it or put your finger or touch that part of area. Talking about the chin, you're touching the child's chin. You are clapping, so you can show that you're clapping. Or if you're seated behind your child and in front of a mirror, like this activity is suggesting, then you can do hand over hand. Hold your infant's hand and clap for your infant. Also, what I know is with infant and music, they really like the lap songs. So you have the infant on your lap and you can bounce them, you can rock them, you can sway. So being able to describe the different movements as you are moving with your child, the bouncing, the rocking, the swaying, and these are all things that can be done seated. So you don't even have to locomote. You don't even have to go from point A to point B. However, you can, and in doing so, you can include walking and bouncing. You can include spinning gently, right? Going around in a circle. So incorporating different movements. And don't for a moment ever think that a child or infant is too young to learn or understand. The more we practice speaking to the young infants, the more we practice articulating what we're doing, the more we label what's going on or what the objects are that the child has, the more we're able to encourage that language development, the more we're able to provide consistency for language development and for early learning. I've noticed that very, very young infants who are surrounded by caregivers who articulate a lot, when they're able to say what they're feeling, not the infants, the adults in this case, and they're able to openly express that and consistently with the young infant, that they grow up to be toddlers and preschoolers who actually do have a slightly better grasp on language, who do end up maybe communicating more with words than they would in misbehavior, with biting, and with other things that young toddlers and infants might do when they're frustrated. Another precursor to language development is using baby sign consistently, teaching the common signs to young infants very, very small at an early age. If you're doing it consistently, you'll also notice that infants as young as 8 months, or even sometimes younger, I've seen are able to mimic and copy. They're able to say more. They're able to do the sign for water. They're able to do very, very simple signs to show what they need or want. And that would also lessen their frustration and crying. However, With everything in life, there's pros and there's cons. So the pro of teaching your young infant baby sign language and being consistent with that is, yes, they do have that tool to communicate with you. Yes, they are going to be less frustrated if that tool works and they're able to tell you when they want more of something, when they want the milk, when they want water, and that you are able to have that wonderful interaction and understand your infant. However, the con could be that speech and language, actual spoken language, might develop a little later. The young infant might then use baby sign or signing to replace actual speaking. That might happen. Not saying it will happen. We have to watch for that happening. If you find that as you approach the first 12 months and your infant is still not babbling should happen around 4 to 6 months. By 12 months, you should have a young infant that can understand a few words, that's starting to mimic more than just a few words. By 24 months, you should have a young toddler that has a vocabulary of about 600 words or so. And this is going to vary if you speak different languages in the home, which I encourage you to do. If there are different languages that your child can be exposed to consistently, definitely, because this age of infancy, their brains are wired very differently, and it's wired in such a way that they're able to very sensitively pick up the tones and the things that we as adults might miss when we're learning a new language. Infants' brains are wired very specifically to be able to differentiate between the tones of different languages, the pitches of different words and different expressions of different languages, and they're able to mimic very well these different languages. So exposing a young infant, whether through song or through different caregivers, whether through nursery rhymes or playing, or even if it's just you and you know the names of different body parts in different languages, or some words in different languages, and you're able to incorporate that in your daily speech or your interaction with your young infant, go for it. Very, very good for cognitive development. Very, very fun for inclusion. It's always fun to meet young children growing up with one family speaking one language, but they also know and have words in other languages as well. Young children like to show that off eventually when they're old enough to speak and interact with other children, but as well as young infants hearing these languages and hearing different spoken language paired up with different sounds and rhythms and styles of music. Definitely a wonderful way to surround your child with culture and with just a lot of inclusivity around that. The other activities is labeling your child's body part, like I said. So it's very important that they know the appropriate terms for their penis, their vagina, and that you aren't sugarcoating or making fancy nicknames or cutesy names for those body parts. But also, in addition to that, body parts like head, toes, shoulders, knees, right? So remember, if you're singing any songs or telling any nursery rhymes about body parts, point to those body parts, right? So head and shoulders, knees and toes, point to the head, or touch the head, touch the shoulders, touch the eyes and ears and mouth and nose. Your child can associate that kind of stimulation. Your infant can associate that kind of awareness with their body, with the songs that you're singing, and you'll find that before long they're going to make that association. Then you can play games with your young toddler like, show me where your nose is. Show me where your teeth are. Where are your teeth? Show me where your tongue is. Stick out your tongue. And little things like that. And that's going to be an extension of, singing head and shoulders, knees and toes. Learning the different verses of head and shoulders, knees and toes, using that same melody, that same rhythm of that song, but then singing about different body parts. Hands and fingers, elbows, knees, elbows, knees, elbows, knees, hands and fingers, elbows, knees, eyes, ears, and a great big sneeze. And I love doing the covering up your sneeze, it's very important to teach your young child to do that. So doing it yourself and doing it as part of the song in a fun or cheeky kind of way will definitely help your young infant and young child to remember that. And also, when they are sneezing or coughing, to model that for them, no matter how old they are. Especially if they're a toddler or preschooler and they're old enough to start doing that, because that's very important, especially during these times, and if they're not wearing a mask. Because I think with Toronto Public Health, they said that children under the age of 2, I believe, don't quote me, but that there is an age where young infants and children are exempted from wearing masks. That makes sense. But if we also, at that very early age, we're showing them and we're role modeling to them how we cover our sneezes or how we put on our masks and things like that, very, very good for young children to see and try to mimic. Young infants and pretending to be airplanes, pretending to be different vehicles. So you're lifting them up in the air and you're patting them on the back and you're gonna go for a helicopter ride. You're pretending you're in a helicopter, or carrying them up and they can be super baby and you can have them lie on their tummy and you support their back and you can rock them and hold them and rock them facing different directions, or hold them safely in different ways as you walk around, as you skip, as you bounce or sway, and do this with music. Do this while you're humming and singing. This is going to be very enjoyable for your young infant. Also, you want to encourage a lot of tummy time. Tummy time for young infants, you help build the neck and back muscles. You're helping them learn how to support their head. You're giving them encouragement to support their head and work on the muscles in the front of the body, their pecs and their chest, especially when they need to push up to support themselves. Of course, the younger the infant, the more support they might need and the less that tummy time should be. But we want it to be consistent. You may not be able to do 3 minutes every day with a 2-month-old, but you can definitely try for 60 seconds. You can definitely try for 75 seconds. If the child is crying or in distress, depending on your child's temperament, and parents would know this best from interacting with their young infant, if that crying means, hey, I need a little bit of encouragement, so you have your hand stroking their back and you're encouraging them to reach for that toy or encouraging them to watch you provide that stimulation. Or if that crying means, okay, I'm done, I need to be picked up now, then definitely go comfort your child, recognize these needs, recognize and respond to their different cues. And it's very important for infants of young age that you respond to their cues, because this is also the time when their brains are developing trust and mistrust. So if I cry, will my caregiver come to change me, to feed me, to comfort me? If I cry, will my caregiver change my position or make me more comfortable? If I do such and such, will this happen in my environment? And that's what basically is going on as the young infant's brain is being developed. They're learning about these connections, and they're learning about their environment. And it happens with things unspoken. It happens with what we show. It happens with consistency. So we must remember to try our best to show consistency and to show that kind of loving nurture and loving nature that we can provide, so that the young infant's mind does develop trust. They're not going to have the vocabulary or the articulation to say that that's what's happening, but that is what's being developed cognitively and social emotionally at that time. Studies have shown that young infants that do not have responsive caregivers end up developing mistrust. So with mistrust, they're not going to be engaging a lot in their environment. They've already have a pretension or a pre-notion that there's mistrust in the environment. They're not going to get something when they ask for it, so they're not going to be speaking up. They're not going to be crying to get that toy, or maybe they will be better self-soothers because they are learning that the environment that they're in doesn't help soothe them anyhow. So, there's a very fine line with different theories about letting infants and babies self-soothe, or whether you should respond right away. My thinking and my philosophy that I've always been a big fan of, especially if they're younger than 12 months, is respond right away. Respond right away, respond right away. Only because you don't know what it is they're trying to articulate exactly. For example, you can have the baby monitor in their baby room, in their crib, while they are sleeping on, and the baby monitor is recording them crying, and maybe it's one of those video monitors, and you can see, and what you see is that, oh, the baby is crying and they look like they're okay in the crib and they're just crying. But it could mean, oh no, I'm having difficulty breathing. Oh no, something's wrong. And because infants at that young age, especially if they're younger than 12 months, might not have the reflex or the ability or the control in their body to turn over or to turn their head if they're having trouble breathing, or if something's blocking their nose or their mouth, they might not. Which is why it's also important that young infants don't go to bed or sleep with any stuffed animals or toys in their crib, because if they end up moving a certain way or rolling over, you're not providing objects or anything that could suffocate them or impair their breathing in any way, especially if they happen to be doing this in a crib or a space that's in a room different from yours. So definitely younger than 12 months, any kind of cues or reaction from the young infant, I would strongly advise and strongly suggest that we respond to, only because at this point in time, their brains are developing trust and mistrust, but most importantly, we're looking at safety. We're going to go into the room and see, is there anything obstructing the child's breathing? Is there anything that's in the crib that shouldn't be? Or, is the child hurt? Are they bleeding? Do they need to be changed, fed, comforted? Those basic things as well. Going back to tummy time, so you lie your baby face down with their head and upper body extended over, and you can support the infant with a pillow or a rolled towel. You can use it under the knees. You can use it to support the front of the chest and have it tucked underneath their right above their tummy as they lie on it. Make sure it's something comfortable, and allowing them to remain in that position only as long as it appears comfortable to them. Be mindful of when you do tummy time, how close it is to the meals that the child has had. You don't want anything to upset the tummy. You obviously don't want the child to spit up or to vomit or get sick on you. So lay your baby face down with the soles of their feet pressing against your arms, or you can lay down on the floor in front of you, and you use pillows and or a rolled towel to support their tummy time. And then gently, as they're laying down there, move their arms up and down in different motions, doing rotations, figure eights, and sing a song to your baby while you're doing it. Hum, tell a nursery rhyme, and incorporating that kind of rhythm and fun into this sort of tummy time activity. This exercise is particularly great for relieving gas. So if you have a colicky baby, if you have a baby that might end up having some tummy troubles, I still won't advise this tummy time necessarily for right after a meal, but a few hours later, if there's still gas in the tummy, definitely this is a good activity. Another good activity, if there's gas and your baby happens to be colicky, is helping your infant to do bicycle kicks. So they're lying on their backs, and you hold their shins, or the heels of their feet, and you can gently motion and push the baby's feet to do bicycle kicks very gently. In fact, maybe it can be something you do right after you change their diaper. You can make it a little consistent, and you do it for a short amount of time every time, as something fun. Or maybe you do it for the length of a song. And it's definitely up to you what you're comfortable with and how consistently you're doing these things. You're building this relationship with your infant, so be sure that you're comfortable doing it and it's something that speaks to you, because your infant's going to feel that energy, your infant's going to feel that connection, and hopefully you're going to use this as a precursor to then further develop their language, and further develop that kind of bonding moment, that time together with your young child. Creating specific activities and songs you sing while you're changing their diaper is also a good way to get them familiar with the activities that go on while they are toileting or diapering. And sing about what you're doing, or tell them, okay, well, I'm taking down your diaper now. I'm wiping your vagina. Now we're going to put on some cream. A quick recap of some of the things that we talked about in the hour today with infant activities. And once again, if you have an older child, I encourage you to use your imagination, extend these activities. And if it's a song or nursery rhyme that you're singing with your young infant, feel free to, and if you know any other languages, extending that and singing it in a different language, or using words from different languages to incorporate into the songs you're singing with your young infant or child. Beautiful for cognitive development and for diversity and inclusion. Okay, so a recap of what we talked about today. The very first activity that I talked about was more of a sensory activity. We're using bottles that we can seal properly with glue and duct tape, and in the bottles we can have water, we can have colored water, and the colored water can be made with tempera paint, non-toxic, and also child-friendly bubble bath, or non-toxic dish detergent, and we mix that with the tempera paint and half a bottle of water. We can put glitter in the bottle, and we can use this as, after it's been sealed, as a sensory object for the child to shake and listen to. In the summertime, if the bottle happens to be halfway filled or less, we can freeze the bottle. Just make sure that there's enough room so that for the liquid to expand, only because we don't want the bottle to leak or to start cracking, because then that ends up being toxic or dangerous for your young child to be ingesting what's in those bottles. Another suggestion is, if you do decide to use it as, let's say, a tool that you're using temperature to teach temperature, this bottle's warm, this bottle's been in the freezer, it's cold. After you freeze the bottle, maybe that's the one time you use it, and then that gets thrown out. And then we're going to make other sensory bottles, other bubble bottles, other colored bottles, with different bottles, and that way we're not stressing that same bottle over and over again, because as we know, young infants are going to be might be banging on them, might be using the bottles to hit different things, make different sounds. We want to encourage them to explore, so we're going to make it as safe for them as possible. We are talked about extensively about how to encourage music in different languages, singing songs, learning about body parts, knowing the correct terms. We love making sensory bottles and bags, sensory bags, definitely. Once again, I would like to encourage you to make sure that the bags are strong enough, that the things aren't leaking. So Ziploc bags that are going to be taped at the top so that the young infant can see what's inside. And if you fill it up with hair gel or something that's thicker, and toys inside, if you fill it up with sand, cornstarch, different types of powder, so definitely sensory bags. Freezer bag Ziploc bags are the thicker ones, and duct tape definitely after you put whatever it is, the sand, the water, the gel, the toys, whatever it is into the sensory bag. Duct tape, duct tape, duct tape. And if they are, younger than 6 months, then I would advise that it be taped onto their high chair table or the surface area instead of just taped on itself. So then that way the infant can press on it and move it, and you don't have to be worried about it being undone or them putting it in their mouths because it's stuck to the surface of their high chair table or their tabletop. Even if the bags are thick, I don't really want them putting that in their mouths. But what we do want is we do want the children and young infants to explore things orally. That's a precursor to language development when they are able to use a teething toy or a soothing toy to move the different muscles in their mouth, and learn how to make different sounds and vocalize. So we don't want to take that away from young infants. In addition to being a precursor to language and spoken language development, singing to your young child, singing to your infant, making it part of your routine, singing about different body parts, touching and labeling the different body parts as you're singing. I hope that all of you enjoyed our rainbow activities. I hope that you're able to leave our time today with some ideas. Please, I encourage you to connect with each other, to comment on each other's comments, to reply to one another. I really want to build a sense of community here as we're sharing these ideas. One more reminder is to join our YouTube page, our 519 YouTube page. Please and thank you. Get the alert for that. You'll have then alerts for music circles, story time, and even more meditation as they become uploaded, as they become available to share with all of you. So, as I leave you all, I hope that I've been able to inspire some of you, and I'm going to also encourage you, if you have any ideas in the meantime, when we're not on this platform, email me. Email me at jlee@the519.org. jlee @the519.org. And mention the ideas, mention the things you do at home. Please share, because that's what's going to make these circle times, these time that we have together, to be more meaningful and to be more applicable to all of you. So it made me really happy to see that so many of you tuned in and that so many of you are watching. And I hope that you're able to leave our time today with more ideas of fun things that you can do, that you're excited about engaging with your young child and family members, and that I've given you a little bit of a peace of mind and some happiness in your heart, I hope. So as we leave each other today, I want you to stay safe. I want you to remember to wash your hands often, and be alert, and shine radiantly, and stay positive, have fun, stay in touch. Email me. Okay. Bye-bye, everybody. I'm so happy you were here to join us.